Down, I said, don't let me down. I won't let you down. I said, don't let me down. I won't let you down. And we'll all hold hands and drink to each other's good health. And we'll all make plans to thank the Lord that we're born with. And the more we do.
Hello, welcome to Scrum and Disorderly podcast. We're joined today by former Wales three-quarter John Devereux. Thanks for coming in, John.
No problem.
You brought a book out last year, Double Dragon, Double Lion, in reference obviously to the fact that you played for Great Britain in both league and union.
And Wales.
And Wales, obviously. For Wales, your first cap against England. Wales about to play England in a few weeks' time.
Yeah.
You were still a student at the time,
I was.
which is very unusual to get your first cap. Can you tell us about how that felt?
Well, it was a bit strange, obviously, at the time, considering I was a student, playing in the college up in Cardiff College there. Lucky enough, we used to play all the first-class clubs in Wales. So that sort of puts you in the shop window a little bit. But, I played against Cardiff in the Welsh Cup and had a pretty good game against Bob Ackerman. And a couple of months later, I was in Cardiff Castle on a field trip with all my student friends and lecturers, and got one of those phone calls out of the blue from a chap in Cardiff Castle saying, very important phone call for you, John, can you come with me? So I picked the phone up and John Dawes was on the other end of the phone saying, hello, John Dawes, chairman of selectors, congratulations, you've just been selected to play for Wales against England on the 18th of January. So thought someone was taking a piss, to be honest. And then I, obviously it all sunk in there, and I went back to the room, told all the lecturers and all my friends what the news, and one of the lecturers said, well, I think that calls for celebration. So we went across the road to Womanby Street there, the old Horse and Groom pub, and we got absolutely shit-faced in there. And it's an unofficial day off for college that day, so didn't know mobile phones in those days. It was phones like that. And everyone, jungle drums, everybody ended up coming down to the pub and spending the day with me, celebrating that mad selection, really. Because let's face it, I was a student. I wasn't, Roland was playing for Neath at the time, and Robert Jones was capped at the same time as me, same news, and he was playing for Swansea. So, like I say, I was playing student rugby against men, really, and so. It's a bit strange, obviously.
I remember, obviously, I was in Neath, you were South Glammen.
That's it.
And my first game for Neath was against South Glam, but that was the year before, right? The following year when we played out, and it was always a tough game because they would play, right? And obviously they were finding quality, talented youngsters coming through. But the year after, when you did play at the Knoll, and you had a good game, and we think, we won. But
13-12.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but I've never done a drop goal before, but I'll never forget that one. Yeah. But what I do remember is you coming around and getting us to do your course for you.
That's right.
Well, you coming around with all, can you all fill out these forms? And what was...
So part of my course, past my degree, I had to do a dissertation. So I did it on sports injuries. So injuries related to playing position. So obviously I thought, great opportunity as I'm playing all these rugby teams, and I'll take all these questionnaires with me. And it was quite odd to see all the reactions of the boys, the men of all these other teams going, oh, when you're eating your, sausage and chips, can you just fill in this questionnaire for me? So, but it was a captive audience, and I managed to get, some good feedback from all the different sides that we played in Wales. Played them all except Pontypool. I don't know why we never played Pontypool, but played all the other sides. And we used to have great battles. We'd acquit ourselves so well. We played My Stake. We beat Pontypridd, My Stake. We used to have battles with Neath and Bridgend, and Swansea used to always batter us, and Glenelly, but. It was all a great experience.
Good breeding ground.
Because we were all students, we were all, young men, I suppose, but playing against experienced, first-class sides. And it was a great experience to be able to play in that league. And they did that for 3 years, But I was capped in my second year, which is just mad, where people were saying, where's he come from? Like, I'd never had any schoolboy caps and stuff, not like Roland, obviously had a couple of couple of caps, didn't you? I think.
Yeah, Junior Grand Slam.
And
yeah.
Rob Jones and people like that. Hugh Bevan, who was in college with me.
Yeah.
All played for Wales at under 18s or 15s, 18s, and but I never had any of that. And then obviously burst onto the scene, and it was a great experience.
Brilliant. Talked about sports injuries. You've had a couple of big ones you covered in your book. You said you're lucky generally. As you get older, obviously you get injured more, but the biggest one you had was breaking your jaw with a certain Mal Meninga.
It's probably the most painful injury then. They used to call me Frank Spencer, actually, didn't they? Remember? Some others do have them. Because I did have a couple of injuries. But yeah, the most horrific injury, pain-wise, was probably when I went to smash Mal Meninga and he smashed me. So, yes, fractured my jaw in Roland was playing. We played in Australia on Indian Park, Rugby League. It was the 30th of October 1994, exactly 8 minutes past 3. We just kicked off. It was pissing down with rain. I had to switch from the right centre to the left centre because Alan Bateman got injured just before the game. So I had to switch with Scott Gibbs because he didn't want to play on the left. So I had to switch from the right to the left. And anyway, I come up against Mal. He took a ball up, running out of his 20 metre area, and I just went up to clatter him. And for some reason, I just put my head on the wrong side, caught his shoulder. Thought the pain was just like an elbow. It was horrific.
Well, he saw that cast, didn't he?
And he did have this huge cast on his arm.
Yeah.
And but I caught the point of his shoulder there. He's ginormous, that guy. He's a juggernaut of a man. He must have been 19 stone easily. And
good shift.
And it was just the velocity of the hit caught me clean on the side, smashed the jaw into 4 pieces. It ended up here. The bone of the jaw went straight through my tongue. I mean, I saw it someone put it on the internet recently. It was on Facebook or something, and walking off, obviously holding my jaw together. I knew I was going to be out for a few weeks.
I feel a little bit bad about that incident, right? Because I was left side. I was left side second row, right? So we defend left side centre, left side second row, defend together.
Yeah.
And I was kind of taught a little trick, like if you don't fancy tackling, really push out a bit faster than the line. It'll just offer them the chance to drift on your outside because they'll see you come out hard and think gaps there. So I thought I would never do that because we're representing Wales and these are my teammates. So I jammed out to the line. I thought Mal Meninga's gone. If I look at it again, man, and he's just gone, oh shit, the space is out there.
Yeah.
So
and he gets his knees up.
I managed to shepherd him out of my channel.
Well done, Rob. Thanks, man. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, buddy.
But I will say about that game, they had Wendell Saylor playing, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what an athlete, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huge presence, right? And myself and Johnny Griff and I think I can't remember who else it was. We said, like, if we get a tackle on him in the game, we'll say, hello, sailor. Right, that was it, right? We're going to do that. Just as a bit of a joke, innit? So next thing you know, this had happened because I was early on and game got serious quickly then, didn't it? Because thinking, damn, man, they were different level, like. Yeah. Next thing, we kicked it, gone dead. I think it was a penalty or something, gone dead, and they would tap out. Wendell Saylor, winger, bringing it out, and they tap like that. We had about 3 or 4 in the tackle, like a big pile up, and I'm going back, drifting back, and I can hear from the pile of bodies, hello, sailor. It was Johnny Griff. Oh my God.
It was a vicious match, actually. It was the first game of their tour, and they'd given us this fixture, which was great for Wales to be able to play them. But it was just a bad-tempered game, wasn't it? It was, apart from, it started obviously with my jaw, then Dai Young had a big golf ball of an eye. It was blood pouring out of that. We were both in the physio's room together. He went back on, but obviously I didn't. But yeah, there was lots of scuffles. Kevin Ellis got absolutely battered by David Furner. I thought it was David Furner, but he came out of there like Chi-Chi the Panda at the end of that one. And
we're lucky to hammer down.
Phil Ford and Adolf, they were all different scuffles. It was quite bad-tempered. We got battered as well. Something like
it was 30 something because it absolutely hammered down.
It hammered down.
So it really affected their game as well. So thank God.
But 13 weeks out. It was out of from breaking my jaw back to get back playing. Obviously, psychologically, it's a big one when you get back on the park because I got. Still to this day, I got plates this side and this side, so didn't lose any teeth, which was amazing.
I was happy with that.
Yeah, Thank you. Just a wisdom tooth, that's all.
Speaking about ill-tempered games, we jump around a lot on you. There's no structure to this. The Fiji tour that you went on, that was a bit of a battle.
Did you go on that one?
No.
No, he didn't go on
Bit
that
of a
one.
battle on the pitch as well.
Well, the battle was, so we played South Seas Tour, my first year, 1986, so I played four caps for Wales, went to Australia, played in the World Sevens for Wales, came back from there, still a student obviously, and then great tour at the end of the year, summer tour to South Seas, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa. But that tour will always be remembered for the biggest scrap that I've ever been involved in, myself anyway, on a rugby pitch. So while we were in Tonga, we had to play this Wednesday night game first, right? And someone got, I think with Malcolm Dacey got injured, right? So Jonathan Davis, our test number 10, had to play on a Wednesday before a Saturday international, right? And they had this huge prop forward, right? I always remember they had black and white hoop jerseys, and this guy had this beard, like massive beard. He was huge, and he pointed at Jonathan at the front side of the kickoff and went like that. And Jonathan spent the whole game running the opposite way to where he passed the ball, just away from this guy. And all this guy wanted to do was kill him. That was a bad-tempered game. We won the game, but obviously I was in the stand watching it, laughing my head off, and just pissing ourselves laughing at this prop forward trying to kill Jiffy. So anyway, the game then. So then there was a bit of bad feeling on the Saturday then. So before the game, just picture the scene there now. There's this tropical, palm tree oasis, and they've cut this rugby pitch out of a palm tree oasis, and there's all these people's wooden huts, their houses, like wooden on stilts huts, and they'd have all the animals in the backyard, and in the middle it was this like parkland field with one wooden stand down one side, and a completely open, 3/4 of the pitch was completely open, and all the spectators, all the locals were standing 10 deep. They were all standing on boxes, on people's shoulders. And before the game, we had to meet the King of Tonga, right, before the game in our kit. So he's huge, King of Tonga. He was like 25 stone, right? He was top of the stands. So there we are, walking up the steps now in our kit. And I was following Jonathan up now. And Jonathan puts his hand out now to meet the King of Tonga. A huge shovel of a hand to shake Jonathan's hand. And in Welsh, Jonathan said, "Hello, you fat bastard," And I was just pissing myself laughing, And I was still chuckling when we kicked off the game, And it didn't have to last. It didn't have to wait too long for the bad feeling to kick off. First line out, Tulip, Phil Davis, back of the line out. Ball comes in. Tulip's got his eye on the ball now. Next minute, like that, he's on the floor, out us, right? All the forwards pile in as normal, all the backs stand around us and watch, So there's a bit of a big fight, and the ref breaks it all up. He pulls the two captains in, right? He said our captain for Wales that day was Dickie Moriarty, yeah? So, because Di Pickering had got injured against Fiji the week before. Remember that back row at Tileni? Came over to play for Cardiff. He jumped over a ruck and landed on Di Pickering's head. He'd never been right since. And then this game, obviously this fight. So we had this. All the ref pulled the captains in. He said, right to Dickie. He said, right, go away, and the Tongan captain, go away and tell your team. Any more of that fighting, he said, I don't care who they are, they'll get sent off. Dickie pulled us all in. He said, boys, when it kicks off again, and it will, I don't care who you standing next to, twat them. Right? So there you are, right? So there we are. Next minute, it all kicked off. Another line out, I think. Big fight. And it was like, throw your gloves off, ice hockey match, and fight with whoever's next to you. So it was 15 Tongans on to 14 Welshmen. Because Malcolm Dacey was playing full-back that day, having a woodbine, watching. And it was just a mass brawl, and I was the only one to win my fight. But they had this... We watched it on the telly, right? We huddled in a room about the same size as this after the game to watch the game, because Lynn Davis and Hugh Llewellyn Davis gave us the only video, the VHS tape, put it in the recorder, huddled around this telly in our hotel and watched this fight. And they had this silverback gorilla of a prop. Tavita Bloomfield, his name was. He had like ripples on the back of his neck. He was huge, tight head prop. He must have been 20 odd stone, right? He hit Billy James Aberavan, boom, down on the floor, out. Then he hit Stuart Evans, Neath, 20 odd stone, bang, out. Then he hit Adrian Adley, he's snoring before he hit the floor. Then Blethen Bowie, my centre partner, came in from the side and smacked him as hard as he could, and he just nearly broke his hand on this guy's jaw, and he just turned to Bosey, smiled, and started running after Bosey. And Bosey's doing figure of eights now around the posts, trying to get away from this big fat prop. Anyway, he tried to run off the field. All the speckies is pushing him back on the field. Eventually, he found a weak link in the chain of around the pitch and got through and this guy's still chasing him. And he ran into someone's back garden with the cows, with the pigs and chickens, and he just plucked up enough courage to come back. And when he thought the fight was over, anyway, he got back. And then Adrian Hadley is still he's like a starfish on the floor, still unconscious. And they drive this ambulance on the pitch. And you can imagine now at Cardiff Arms Park or Millennium Stadium, driving a car, which only best describes ambulance because they painted a red cross on the door, right? It was an estate car, white, with a red cross on the door. Opened the back door, picked Adolf up, chucked him in the back of this ambulance, and then the ambulance got stuck on the pitch. It was doing all these wheel spins, so the two packs had to push this ambulance off the field. It left all these ruts all over the field. Anyway, Adrian Hadley goes off to hospital. Nobody goes with him, no officials, no doctors, no officials. Mark Titley, duty boy for the day, went with Adolf to hospital. And when they got to the hospital, there was no doctors there. They were all at the game, watching the game, so they had to thumb a lift back from the hospital. But that was Tonga, yeah. And Jiffy's speech post-match was pretty good as well, and he did that in Welsh because Dickie was non-speaking Welsh, so he handed the microphone over to Jiffy, so he just told him what he thought of Tonga, really, in Welsh. Pretty good.
So you played during a period, same as Rowley, you straddled both amateur rugby union and professional rugby, and obviously rugby league as well. So those tours, obviously, that was the pitch. And you spoke about when you first found out about your cap.
Yep.
Went straight on the pitch to celebrate.
Yeah.
Obviously, very different, and you know, we understand reasons why it's different now. It's their career.
Yeah.
So on that tour, off the pitch, what were your memories from? Because it's quite a as a place to tour, it's very, very different than from going to Australia or
South Seas.
South Seas.
Yeah, it was a great experience. I mean, it was very, very poor countries. You know, Tonga is probably, before I'd gone to Papua New Guinea, it was the poorest country I've ever been to. It was, dreadful. People were living in sort of wooden huts and they were poor. People didn't have shoes on and stuff like that. They walked around bare feet. And then they'd have like they'd wear anything. Like hand-me-downs or stuff from charities and stuff. So yeah, it was poor, lovely people, but on the rugby pitch they turn into a different animal. Obviously, they're very passionate but great. I mean, touring was just to see these places. Like, that's a great thing with rugby, isn't it? You can go to South Seas, Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, and see all these beautiful. Fiji was fantastic. I love Fiji. We stayed at these lovely hotels. One of them was just literally on this coastline, and the water was lapping up to the edge where where we were lying on sun lounges because the weather was really good as well. The grounds were rock hard. That was hard, and the rugby was hard. On their own patches, they are very passionate, but they're very strong people as well, and very physical. Rugby, I mean, some of the games were close, and we lost. I think on the whole tour, we lost one game, but still, we won all the test matches. But yeah, it was a great experience. Fiji bitter. Remember that story where we first got to? We're in this hotel called the Macambo. I always remember the name, in Nandi. Right, the airport's literally a stone's throw away. And this hotel was like a sprawling country clubby type thing up on the hill. And then myself and Paul Moriarty would be like, with the little kids in the camp, and we'd be into everything. We'd have a game of golf, we'd be playing tennis, we'd be swimming. Anyway, Brian Kempson, remember Brian Kempson? He came on the tour with us. Brian was one of the committee, wasn't he? Yeah, but he'd paid his own way to come on the tour. So there we are now by the pool. We trained in the morning and larking about by the pool, lying on loungers, and Brian Kempson's there now with the old handkerchief on his head. Remember the knotted handkerchief? And he'd have this Fiji bitter. He bought this Fiji bitter vest, and he was there now drinking by the pool. We weren't drinking; we were just like somebody. And then in the end, he stood up and he went, "Go on, then. You'd been dying to do it, so we got up and picked him up and chucked him in the pool, right? And we all just laid back down on the lounges thinking, great, we done it. We wanted to chuck him in, didn't we? And nobody thought to have a look where Brian was, but he was on the bottom of the pool, we didn't realise he couldn't swim. If we went for Bobby Norster, Bobby dived in and saved Brian, so that was a good one. But yeah, no, it was a fantastic experience. Fiji was beautiful. Tonga was lovely, but I thought it was poorer. People, they were good, lovely people though.
I remember. Sorry, we went over to Fiji with they're the Fiji Nines.
Rugby league, yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, we didn't miss. Well, it was nice to go to Fiji.
Yes.
We didn't miss much. It was the 3-day tournament went to 2 days because it hammered.
It did. I remember the rain in.
But afterwards, right, we were in the function. We'd won a plate or the second.
Yeah.
Whatever. We were in the function and obviously just drinking Fiji Gold, Fiji Bitter, relaxing like that. The next thing, outside, there were all these taxi drivers sitting round a mat with carver, right? And they're like sort of, you sort of summons the carver, and they stir it up, give it to you, and you drink it like that. And then they, like that. Martin Hall was with us, and he'd had a few in the function, right? So he's like, he's sitting there, next half hour later, he's still sitting there and clapping, another carver. Next thing, he gets up and he is, we all had a few, and gets up, jumps in the taxi, because those drivers, he says, I think it was like the Trade Winds Hotel or something like that. Taxi driver's like, so there. The function was across the road from the hotel. He was so pissed, he jumped in trying to get back to the hotel. So he ended up shuffling across and out the taxi door the other side. But no, it was nice players. It was a nice place for the Snakes.
So you travelled as well as still a young player to the inaugural World Cup.
Yes,
which to this day is Wales's best placement in it. We became third. So what was that experience like?
I was still a student. I was the only drag for me going on that tour, which was fantastic to be lucky enough to play in the first ever World Cup. And I mean, look at all the great players who had never played any World Cup. People like Gareth Edwards and JPR and all those. But it was great to be able to go to Australia and New Zealand and play in that tournament. And it was. But I say the only drag for me when I got there. All the boys were partying up in Auckland with the Scottish team and the Irish team because we came over on the jumbo together, didn't we? So we all went over and drunk the 747 dry. They didn't have nothing left for us to drink. So again, we were all amateurs, But we get there, big party up in Auckland. But I had to go down to Wellington with Ray Williams, the secretary of the WRU, because I was sitting my final university exams, 3 exams. So I had to sit 2 in Wellington, where we were staying for our pool matches, and then one down in Invercargill when we played. So I had to go down to Dunedin to sit the last one because we were playing Canada down in Invercargill. But so apart from that, that was a drag. But great tournament. We played Ireland in Wellington. Windy Wellington, and that was, I think Mark Ring scored the first try for Wales. I managed to get the ball out to him and he crossed over the line, and that was the deciding factor because we knew he was going to be out of Wales or Ireland to win the group. So we beat Ireland, we beat Tonga, the rematch in Palmerston North, famous for when Glenn Webb played on the wing for Wales that day. I was not playing that day, got rested or whatever. And we played Tonga that day, and this Tongan fullback literally dived head first at Glenn. His head hit Glenn in his chest here, and Glenn was just out us on the floor. And then famously he got up with the ball then and started running the wrong way, started running to his own line. But and it was just a great experience to go to all these, places in New Zealand and Australia, because we topped the group and we beat Canada in the last game. It was a brilliant a match against the old enemy, England, over in Brisbane. So we were in New Zealand for pool matches, and then quarterfinal was against England in Brisbane, Ballymore, which was great because we'd played the 5 nations then prior to going to the World Cup. And we didn't have. I think the only game we won was England that 5 nations, and we get over to obviously this game now, and England are they said no Welshman needs any motivation playing England, but the cheeky English bastards had already booked their hotel for the semi-final. So it was just nice to beat them. I scored an interception try, which put the final nail in the coffin, and it was great, you know, to beat them. And we went on another like bender after it. You know, where in the modern game would you see, you know, winning a game and then next minute you're going on a 3-day bloody piss up in surfer's paradise, like, you know. I mean, we were wet in, God the rest of his soul, Wally Blackmore, his wife, and just had a baby, first baby. So Tony Gray and Derek Quinnell let us go out into surfer's paradise for a night to wet the baby's head. But unfortunately, that one day rolled into 3, you know. But everyone knew what was around the corner. We were playing against the All Blacks. You know, we'd watched them demolish Italy. Something.
Yeah,
was it 90 points?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was a ridiculous score. And was it Italy? Sorry, or was it Zimbabwe or something like that? But anyway,
I think it was Italy.
Yeah, and they were just fantastic, and we just thought, well, you know, let's see what happens. But yeah, well, look, when we got on the park, we give our all, and unfortunately, we weren't. They were as good as a professional team back then. We found out afterwards that they'd been prepping for 2 years for this World Cup, and they'd been given special dispensation to have time off from work, and you know, they were literally semi-pro and we were amateur. You know, we were over there just, you know, some of our players never even picked a weight up in their life, you know, and now these days everyone's doing weights and stuff, you know, but whereas they were faster, bigger, faster, stronger than us. Yeah, it was a sad day for Welsh rugby, obviously, to lose by, you know, such a big score. I scored the only try for Wales, which at the time I felt, you know, chuffed about. But when you look at the final score, 49-6, it's not a great feeling. And we got absolutely annihilated then in the press after the game, right? The Aussies just went for us because then we had the 3rd and 4th playoff game, and they just went for us, didn't they? It was big. People like Alan Jones, the coach, was having a dig. Campese doing his usual, you know, they're a joke. There's no point playing this 3rd and 4th playoff. They're an absolute joke, you know. So that kind of motivated us. And then we had to fly back to New Zealand to play the 3rd and 4th playoff game in Rotorua. And yeah, we smashed them 22-21 in the end. Yeah, it was a
brilliant game.
Yeah, I mean, the game was famous for my handoffs, you know. I had a series of handoffs in one section of that game, and it wasn't just that. It was an ill-tempered game. They had a man sent off, David Cody, the back rower, and you know, we scored tries. They scored tries. It was
Thorby's kick
right at the end. You know, Adolf scored. You know, Jonathan put a big bomb up. I caught it. I went up for it, caught it. It rolled on. I thought, oh my God, I'm on my own here. I kept rolling, and I sort of like thought, if I hold the ball, they'll probably get it off me. So I just, as I rolled, and then I just put it through my legs. And luckily, all the forwards ran over the ball. I think Ian was playing scrum half, lobbed the ball out to Ringo, to Thorby, and Thorby had a good hand off on someone and give it to Adolf, who scored in the corner. And then all the fans ran on. Remember that? And then they had to stop the game. Anyway, Thorby had to take this conversion from the corner flag, basically 22 corner flag, and then he popped it over. You know,
that was amazing.
It was probably one of the hardest kicks you would imagine to win the match. You know, well, we thought it was going to win. You know, ultimately it did win the match, but then. Again, all the fans run on, didn't they, thinking the game's over, and it wasn't. They restarted. We got the ball back, and then someone daft basket kicked the ball down the middle of the park. The Aussies came up the park. Campese had it. He was like running in. Next minute, he was like, he had someone on his left and no one on his right, and he turned to pass to his right, and the guy would have been under the sticks. But anyway, we won the game, and it was one hell of a party after. I've never, ever drunk all the way through the night in my life, and that was the first time ever. We were drinking with Brian Robson, Man United. He was over there playing football, and he was in our hotel, the Mayfair Crest Hotel in Brisbane, and we just pulled him in because he was on his own in the hotel, and we pulled him in, and we were just drinking all night, and then literally pick your bags up and jump on a bus to to fly back or to fly up to Auckland for the final. So we went to the Eden Park then to watch France against New Zealand in the final, which was a disappointing final because I thought France probably played their final against the Aussies in the semi-final, didn't they? And they beat them.
Well, just to clarify, I wasn't at the World Cup.
Sorry, I rolled it.
No, but I was in spirit,
Yes.
and I was in the Legends restaurant, Stuart Evans and Pickering's restaurant,
Right.
every morning, whatever, 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
champagne and everything, watching the games. But what a emotion of pulling a nation together for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, the
Yeah.
press would have got every time there's a negative, the press can jump on it. But the public, it wasn't like it is now, wasn't it? You say something wrong, but you look at talking about prep and how you'd go on your 3-day bender, Surfers Paradise, and then switch on.
Yes.
That reminds me so much of our rugby league.
Yes.
When we were doing the World Cup.
Yeah, World Cup '95. Yeah, it was. Again, we probably. Clyde Griffiths always says we underperformed. We should have done better. I mean, we got to the semi-final of the World Cup and lost to England, but probably that win, the hardest game of rugby I've ever played in my life, rolling, Samoa on the Vetch in Swansea. It was the most brutal game of rugby I've ever been involved in.
Oh my God, it was a cheap shot everywhere.
It was just, everybody was smashing hell out of everybody. The hits were immense, and we came home with our win, but we unfortunately went on a bit of a drinking spree after that, where we only had something like 4 days to prep for
the England game, but we didn't.
The England game,
We stayed in Cardiff. We were in the Hilton Hotel, but we'd done all the games, the prep into France, Samoa, and then we thought, it's good, we're enjoying ourselves. We stay here again. Rather, we were supposed to go straight up to Manchester then and stay in a hotel up there, but we extended our stay in
Wales, and
we definitely celebrated
we celebrated Samoa too much. It was a great win. They were, they had Inga Togiamala. I was marking him that day, and they did their haka version of the haka. And we said, right, when they do their haka, we'll stand on the halfway line of the Vetch, the circle. But we were on the centre. I actually was on the centre spot. I was with Martin Hall. So me and Martin Hall, right on the centre spot. And we said, we'll all link arms and they'll do their haka and we'll just stand there and watch them. But we didn't realise when they do their haka, they walk forward. Yeah. They keep walking forward towards you. So they started walking towards us, and Martin Hall thought, no, I'm going to walk to you. So he literally starts going like this, and the line just goes like an arrowhead, and I'm alongside him going, stop. And we finished. Their haka was nose to nose. I was with Inga Togiamala, and he was like just, steam coming out of his ears. And the first hit, who took the hit up from the kick-off? Was he you or
No, I was on the bench.
Was he? Oh
yeah.
my God! So I just thought, who's going to take the first hit up from the kick-off, and just got annihilated, But the hits, the people in the crowd talked to loads of people. Even the Samoan players said it was a brutal game. But people in the crowd could feel the hits,
That Samoan squad, I don't know about an age. I was a teenager at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the bowling alley in Swansea next to the cinema. And they had one of those punching, where the ball comes down and you've got to punch it. Yeah. So they had loads of groups of big guys. I think it's quite new. It was a new thing. And then the Samoan squad came in. Literally the first guy that punched it, and it's quite durable, just broke it, knocked it completely off. And I thought, I do not want to be playing rugby against these animals.
Yeah. But people like Inga went back from New Zealand to go, they're from Samoa, so you had people like Johnny Schuster could play in that day, and Pongia, is it?
Pongia.
Was it Quentin? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of those boys, and they were all great rugby players, So they fancied their chances against us, and then they would have come out against England, but we beat them, so we played England then at Old Trafford. It was just a little bit. We just ran out of gas.
Yeah,
You scored, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you scored a try, but we just. I mean, it was before VAR, and they didn't have any.
TMOs,
I remember Martin Offiah scored 2 tries on my side, and definitely one of them. He never put it. He literally bounced it from there. as I was trying to launch him into row F, you know.
Both those tries were dubious, weren't they?
Yeah, there were kicks from Bobby Gould into the corner. Martin Fire caught it, and as he was about to put it down, you know, I just got to him, but one of them definitely was. But you know, that's the way it is, you know. But we just ran out of gas, didn't we? We just did, you know. They were a good side, crikey, in England at the end of the day. You know, talking about upsets in that FA Cup recently, that would probably be the biggest upset in Rugby League history. And probably wouldn't have gone down very well with ticket sales for Wembley against the Aussies. But, you know, I think half of Wales would probably would have come, you know, and the final was at Wembley, you know. Yeah. So... But I'm lucky. I played at Wembley, you know, a few times as well. That's the sort of holy grail as a rugby league player, to play at Wembley, the old Wembley we call it, the old towers, 2 towers. Fantastic surface, like a bowling green, but old stadium. You know, still, some of the seats were like wooden planks, weren't they? Yeah. You know, couldn't believe it. But what a stadium!
Widnes were a team, though, they?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, the names in that team.
But I played there with Widnes, played there with Great Britain twice, played in the World Cup final in 1992. So not many Welshmen can say they probably played in a World Cup final. Unfortunately, we lost. We were beaten Australia at the time, and I came up against a guy called Steve Renoff, and all the boys used to call him Steve Ranoff, isn't it? And but anyway, it was I'd come on. I was on the bench, and I come off the bench to replace Gary Connolly, who got injured, and I was in the centre. I was marking a guy called Steve Renoff for Brisbane Broncos. And Phil Clark, who used to commentate on Sky Sports, had a bad cork, you know, dead leg, and he should have gone off. I don't know why they didn't take him off. So anyway, so I'm standing closer to him. Yeah, you know, it's like, bro, you work with I'm a centre, so I'm working as a pair with, and he was my like defensive partner. So I stand a little bit too close to him, and then the ball came out. Kevin Waters came out from the ruck. He saw me just a little bit, and he just sent this ball right across my face. And by this time, Steve Renoff had gone on, you know, he started on that outside arc, and I just realised, oh, shit, you know. And as I tried to backtrack to get him, I, you know, tried to ankle tap him, but he just went down the touchline. And we were winning something like either 8-2 or, something like 8-2 or 6-2 at the time. And then they scored that try. And then it was, I think we lost 10-8 or something like that in the end. It was never going to be, because I remember Alan Tate played that day as well. He came off the bench with me. He played full-back. We put a bomb up right on their sticks. Alan Tate, bloody like a salmon. He's a great athlete, Alan. Jumps up for this ball. He catches it. And all he got to do now is land with the ball.
On the ground.
And it's a try. As he caught it, someone tipped him. You know, just caught him like in the air, and he landed on his back. I can see it now. Yeah. And he just, you know, land on your back. You think, oh, that action. But as soon as he did that, boom, they pounced on him, and we didn't score. So that was a gut there, wasn't it?
It was a key moment, yeah.
Yeah. So
you mentioned your handoff earlier, famously called the Dalek handoff.
Yeah.
You were young when you first broke onto the scene, but you were a strapping lad then. You were before. It's far more common to have big backs now. Yeah. In those days, so when you a lot of people are going to rugby league, and you were an obvious target for rugby league. Looking at it, we've spoken to some previous guests about the transition from union to league. Yeah. You already had those attributes. Did you find the transition tough?
Not as hard for people like Roland as a forward and Paul Moriarty. It's a lot harder for a forward to transition, because they're just different.
As back row, you're chasing the ball for a start.
Yeah.
And you just got to trust the fact you just hold your channel and the ball comes to you.
It's a lot harder for a rugby union forward to transition to league than a rugby union back to transition. And it takes you, even if you don't have that problem, you still have the problem of all the fitness, you know, literally having to breathe, you know, and still, you know, be able to, because you don't realise how much energy and it's the lactic acid basically. So you know it's up and down, and you're always involved. It's not like you can have a rest, and it's that constant up and down. If you're on the wing, you know, you think, oh, rugby union winger, freezing cold. No, everyone's, when you've got the ball, you've got to be, you know, in the game, obviously without it. And it's those shuttles up and down, if you're not used to that. But then the other thing is, if you're at the ruck there, like you just tackle someone, you know, you may have to go and tackle another, you know, opposition player. And to do 1 and 2 and 3 tackles in a row, you're blowing out your ass at the end of it, you know. It is. And you then need to find somewhere to hide. Because if they ran at you and you did 2 or 3 tackles on the bounce, you'd be a target. That's what they do. That's what rugby league players do. They look for players like that. They think, oh, he's blown out of his ass, but he's going to be slow off the, you know, off the line and whatever. But
or threats, key threats. You know, if it's a standoff, if they can pick him off the line, they'll just make him tackle it through.
Yeah, and then you see a lot of, you know, rugby union now, isn't it? You see a lot of people like that ball back inside, just off the line outs and stuff. But that's because you've got, you know, people thinking, oh, it's going that way. I'm just going to you know, have a little blow by here now and have a rest. But just got to be on your and it takes at least, I don't know,
it took me
10 or 12 games to get that, like, you know, because all the training is all about that. Honestly, there wasn't much technical training. It was a lot of it was all game related fitness stuff, really. And then obviously the skills and moves. You just do the moves, but then, you know, all the shuttles, they're like up and downs, we used to call them.
And defence, because we'd have, I'm not saying we were like playing international rugby or playing club rugby, like, I'm not saying we were like a schoolboy team, but we wouldn't be spending a lot of time doing defence. You know, you wouldn't understand if you just keep like a mall of people running across the pitch and filling the space. Whereas you go to the rugby league and they're doing drills where, you know, you got an extra runner hit in there and you got to jam in and things we've never seen before. 2 people dropping out, how you got to react as a defence. It's like, I found that transition because that was totally new. Weights, we never done weights before.
Yeah,
we never
Well,
trained.
I did, but. I mean, it helped, you know,
I can see that.
when I was a kid, you know. But that's what helped me a lot, you know. I was physically strong anyway, but naturally strong, sorry. But then I used to do weight training in my dinner hour in school with John Lloyd, ex-Wales.
Just have your dinner.
Yeah, and then...
have you dinner, we would.
And then, you know, we'd be doing that, me and Hugh Bevan, John Lloyd, Myron Prosser, who lives in the town here, and we'd be doing those every Tuesday and Thursday. And it just harnessed all the natural strength I had anyway, but it made us even stronger, you know, and proper weights, none of these sort of beach weights.
Well, the only one beneath was Colin Latey.
Yeah.
You know,
well, he was in college with me, so he was my centre partner in college. Great player, strong as an ox. Quick as well, good hands. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. Good player, very good player.
Yeah,
very underrated. When he pledged his allegiance to Wales in the end, and then he never got what he
no opportunity then.
Yeah.
I think he had a B cap, didn't he? As he went.
Played for the Barbars against Australia, I remember. Late 80s, I remember that. But yeah, good player, Colin.
Psychologically then, I question to both of you, I don't think we've covered this previously. You both, Wales were going through a turbulent time. You're both very proud Welshmen. When you left to go to rugby league at that point, you didn't know at that point that Union would go professional and you'd be allowed back.
Yeah.
So to make that decision to leave doing something that you love, representing your country, going to a different part of the country to live, what was the psychological change like for you?
Well, I wouldn't say too much Wales was in turmoil at the start, though. I mean, the only bad time was the New Zealand tour, and we were on that thing, right? That was the worst, right? It was a dreadful tour. Should never have gone. It's like we shouldn't have played South Africa in the autumn recently, right? So similar situation, right? We just won a Triple Crown. We go over there, and they are still the same side that we lost heavily the year before. So we shouldn't have gone there. It would have been much better to have developed that squad, to go somewhere else and you know, looked for some more players, blood. Anyway, we did it. It ruined. The coaching staff got sacked, and then different coaching staff came in, and then I think the culmination of we lost to Romania in '89, and and then Jonathan had gone. Then Jonathan decided. He said, "Rugby union's never going to go professional in my time." He said, I'm going. He was looking after his family. It wasn't because he liked rugby league, because he was not built for rugby league, right? But he just said, it's not going to go pro in my lifetime. I'm just going to cash in when I can. And that's what he did. And he went, and then, you know, obviously Paul Moriarty went. I followed them into Widnes then, and then you and Roland and Alan, Kevin came, and Scooby, and Di Young, Johnny Griffiths, he came to St. Helens. So it was but it was hard to. The hardest thing was to say goodbye to playing for Wales, to be honest, and that we all missed that time when we were playing for Wales, and obviously you're given that when you sign on that dotted line, it's quite a tough thing. It's giving up, you're writing on that dotted line, and it's kind of like no turning back now. You got to be a success in rugby league, otherwise you're nothing. But we did miss that time with Wales, because playing for Wales in rugby league or playing for Great Britain in rugby league is nothing like playing for Wales in rugby union. 5 nations, 6 nations, whatever. So I'm playing for the Lions.
You'd have been, what, 24? 23, 25?
23, yeah. 23. I came back from the Lions tour in 89. I was 23. I was getting married in about a month's time. And then I got a phone call out of the blue from Jonathan, and he said, they're coming for you. And I was like, well, I wasn't really wanting to go, because I come back from the Lions tour of 89, and Ian McGeechan he had injected some, like, whatever he did. I just found my mojo again. I was so, back in love with rugby union again, and I was playing well, and I was looking forward to playing more rugby union. Even though I was built to play rugby league, and let's face it, we all had phone calls off scouts. From the very day we first played for Wales, they're always on the phone, can we speak to you, blah, 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 and, but no, I don't want to do it.
They used to ring me and ask me for your number.
Did they?
Didn't ask for me.
Yeah, okay. But, met St. Helens, met Warrington, Bradford. Bradford Northern chairman chased me around Australia in 89 on the Lions tour. Yeah, every hotel, there was a note in my pigeonhole, please contact me. Chris Casely, his name was, we want to talk to you. He had a load of money. He wanted to buy a marquee name and from rugby union. So, I said no to all those, and then come back from the Lions tour. Jonathan rings me. Dougie Lawton wants to talk to you. I was like, oh, shit, I knew what he meant then, And then I said, okay, I'll speak to him. And then, Dougie would charm the birds from the trees. You met Dougie, yeah. He was. I wouldn't say he was the best coach, but he's a fantastic man manager. And you see all this crap going on with the Premiership football managers now. It's so important to have a coach that can man manage. Sometimes coaching is not the main thing. It's being able to deal with all the different egos, all the different, players. You got to put an arm around one, or you got to kick the other one up the arse or whatever. But no, he was a great man manager, not the best coach. He used to love a pint of greenos, to be honest. So half the time he turned up for training, he'd been in the pub all afternoon. But
he was dug out having a
Dougie with his fag and his
dug out of a game.
He'd come out onto the field and he'd have his shell suit on, and he'd be fag hanging off his bottom lip. But and he'd been in the pub in the day, and I'm not disrespecting the guy, because he's a fantastic guy. He sadly passed away a year ago now. And then he came out of the pub one day. I always remember training, and he had this fag box, and he'd had someone give him a pen, and he'd been talking to someone or something in the pub, and he wrote down this move. This play, and he called it what do you call it, fish and chips or something like that, and he had us doing it then in training. I was just pissing myself laughing, He'd written on a fag box, and but yeah, it was. Look, Widnes were like the Harlem Globetrotters of rugby league. He assembled all these different players. Martin Afire, he saw something in Martin Afire, right? He saw him playing rugby for Rosslyn Park. Boom, I'm having him. He was unbelievable. And obviously, Alan Tate. I mean, I was a Mossy Caloto.
Yeah.
How did he get him? I was talking to Mossy Caloto in 88. He was looking forward to his set goal was playing for the All Blacks. Ousting Zinzambrook.
We played against him.
Aye.
In Wellington.
Exactly.
He was in the 8th.
He saw that game. Yeah. Dougie saw him play in that game against Wales.
God. Jumped
on a plane, went over and signed him. I couldn't believe it when he signed him, Mossy. What a player. His nickname in Widnes was the Moose. And he learned a lot of his rugby league off a guy called Kurt Sorensen. Kurt's captain.
Coached me in Workington.
Kurt. Yeah, Kurt Sorensen, big Kiwi, played right till the end. He was 38 when he retired. Wembley, we played Wembley against Wigan. But he used to have this technique, remember the arm? And he used to teach you to run. So when you come to tackle me, Kurt would have this arm, right? His arms were like unbelievably strong. And he'd bust a tackle with this arm. And he taught Mossy to do this technique. And he was just busting through defences. All you had to do, Jonathan or me, or just follow him, and he'd be either inside or outside a pass, and he'd be under the sticks. I mean, I scored 125 tries for Widnes, and most of them were like Tony Myler half a time sending a ball about 20 metres, and I'd be on the touchline, and he'd find me, and I'd just go down the touchline and score. Or Mossy, or the Senny Famalio, who's a prop forward, would run like a flipping winger. He was a Samoan, but he could run. Jeez, we had some great players. Like I say, we had a brilliant side, full of like, you know, Phil McKenzie. Just they weren't household names, but Dougie had this thing of just I'd have him. He'll do. It's like a jigsaw, and he'll play there now, and we'll do this. And then he brought. I always remember I just signed. And sometimes you think, oh, you know. The next minute, he brings Les Holiday in from Halifax, and Les was just one of these standoffs, number 8. It's not standoff, who's forward, number 8 in rugby union. And he was one of them who just put everyone into holes. He had lovely skill with the ball. He'd run with the ball with 2 hands, and he'd put people in. All you had to do was run these lovely, you know, these angles. So and he was top player.
He was quite old, wasn't he?
Well, he looked old. Yeah, he wasn't old, but he looked. No, he wasn't old. He just looked old. I think all Yorkshiremen look like that, don't they? He's from Halifax, but good players. Yeah, and you know, Martin was something special, fastest thing I've ever seen on 2 legs, and then was gutted when he left us to go to Wigan, you know, for a world record fee of 440,000, which the tax man just went, I'll have that, and then that's sort of started causing problems, and money started being a big issue in the game, you know, because Widnes not a big side like Warrington had these millionaire directors. Widnes didn't have millionaire directors. Wigan did have millionaire directors. St Helens had millionaire directors. So if they needed money to go and buy a player, boom, or if they needed money to pay the salaries, or, you know, through whatever, then, you know, these directors would just put the money in, wouldn't they? Yeah. Widnes. We had one millionaire guy. He's a scrap metal merchant, demolition guy. Then we had Jim Mills. He was a nightclub owner. Yeah. We had an insurance guy. We had a dentist. We had a lawyer. You know, it was like no big millionaires. So we found it hard to. Unfortunately, like I say, the tax man came in with this £1.5 million tax bill, and he took this 440 grand off Widnes, who thought, this money will come in handy. Yeah. And then we had to sell some players then. 93 spelt the end of that generation, because Jonathan went to Warrington for a free, just to get him off the books, just to get his salary off the books. Walked into your place free. Yeah. And then you sold him to Cardiff.
That's how much I cost Warrington as well when I first signed. Yeah. Free.
But he walked into Warrington, made Warrington a great, nearly won the league. Yeah. One game, I think.
It was that weekend. We played the Friday, top of the league. That's it. And then it was, I don't know, St Helens played on the Saturday, went top, we were second, and then Wigan jumped over here. Something like that.
But it was a great, you know, some great players up there. And we found...
we were just talking about there, because we were talking about the transition of giving it up. Yes. I can remember the moment, and I think Stewart was leading it, Stewart Evans was leading it, about trying to restrain to trade or whatever it was, where we all started, and then because we all knew the consequences of signing. Yeah. And then, lo and behold, and Brian Thomas, the former team manager, he was telling the public, I said, if you want to stop players going through to rugby league, you've got to make the game professional. And that's the only way you're going to stop them, isn't it? Because Webby was one of the later ones, wasn't he? And there was a few. After that initial. Yes. Quite a lot just went. It just sort of slowed down, and then professional rugby. But Stewart drove a lot of that. Stewart Evans at the time to try and get. I
think Scott Quinnell was one of the last one. And him and Gibbsy. I think Webby had signed. He signed by Salford, wasn't he? Yeah. But it was. Look at the players we had up there. You know, it was a massive loss to Welsh rugby, obviously, but.
It was good to come back, or good to have the opportunity eventually. Cause you never
but a lot of this was all as a result of things like that happening, and and what was happening down under, I think Wales as a rugby WIU,
Yeah.
they were a little bit Victorian in their attitude.
Yeah.
They needed to open their eyes, because what was happening in Southern Hemisphere, we could see they're all getting paid to do these adverts and
stuff like that. Yeah.
Alan Border and John Kerwin doing a Ansett Airlines advert on TV, and Dalton, the captain, sponsored blinging 4x4 quad bike, because he was a farmer. And then you had the boy number 8 for Otago, Mike Brewer.
Yeah.
So they do like a Mars bar out there. They call it a Morrow bar, and he's big billboards with him on these. So these boys are getting money, maybe not directly, but maybe put into a trust or something. But it was definitely having. They were just getting paid, and WIU going. We had to sign a contract. Remember that, where we had to sign a contract by the WIU said we weren't allowed to, on the World Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to receive any money for any interviews. Everyone had to sign like a contract. The WIU made us do that before.
I'm glad you're sticking to that for this interview.
Yes. Well, those days are gone.
No.
You mentioned earlier Ian McGeechan,
Yep.
talking about coaches at that point, and getting your mojo back. Because am I right in thinking you've been dropped by Wales during that Six Nations campaign?
It's amazingly, I got dropped against after Ireland game, so I played Scotland up there. That was a dreadful game, remember that?
Yeah.
89.
Oh yeah.
We went up there as favourites. They'd picked a couple of youngsters. They had Craig Chalmers, Gary Armstrong, and a boy in the centre, Lenine, is it?
Yeah.
Sean Lenine. And then, they had a couple of other players which, we'd not seen. And Johnny Griffiths was playing outside half, scrum half, and then he got concussed in the first 5 minutes. And these days, if you're concussed, you're off, innit? But he ran around like an headless chicken for
the rest of the game.
For the rest of the game, and the game just fell apart. And Scotland were the better side at the end of the day. So we lost our game. Then we lost in Cardiff against Ireland. Noel Mannion going down the touchline, and Di Bryant trying to catch him, and he scored in the corner and beat us there. And then I went off. I cut my lip in a clashed heads with the Irish fullback going up for a up and under. And then I came up, got it stitched up, come up the thing, no blood bins in them days, quick stitch, innit? And ran up, and it was like, sub's already on. So that was the end of my
my career, my Welsh career. That was my last game.
Blethen Bowen's last game was
Ireland
that day. So he played outside half that day.
Because the ref missed a blatant knock on when they scored in the post. The guy we'd done a played in 22. I wonder whether the player went, put his hand through like that, knocked the ball down, it bounced back up, he caught him, scored in the post, referee gave it. Now, at the end, there was only a score. I know if you didn't play well, you don't deserve to get picked.
Yeah.
But if you win, then you probably do get picked. But that was my...
that was my last game, and I thought, Lions team hadn't been selected, or squad, sorry, for the tour that summer. So I thought, that's my chance is gone, blown, being dropped by Wales. So I got invited by Wales to Buck Ryan was coaching. He dropped me from the next two internationals, which were France and England. I think we beat England. Mike Hall scored that try.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a dodgy try as well, wasn't it? Under the sticks, but we beat England. I don't think he quite got it down, but it's in the record books as a try. Anyway, we go to Australia to play World Sevens. I get selected to play for Wales over there. And Buck Ryan's walking in. We're in the Camperdown Lodge, Travel Lodge, Camperdown Travel Lodge in Sydney after training, and we're in the bar. And Buck Ryan walks in with Tudor Jones, the physio, Tudor with his white vest on and his red tracksuit bottoms, brilliant. Tudor, God rest him soul. And he walks in, and next minute he's got this Cheshire Cat smile now, Buck Ryan. He goes, comes up to Ian Evans. Ian's on, congratulations, Ian, been selected for the Lions. Rob Jones, selected for the Lions. Who else was it? Who else was there? Someone else. I was and he said me. I kind of said, I was like, oh my God, Mike Hall was there as well. Congratulations, Mike. I was like, oh my God, I just thought they'd gone, But me and Mickey knew what I could do, And all right, I hadn't maybe had a great 5 Nations, but he knew what I could do for the Lions, and got on that tour, and best tour still to this day, best tour ever. There's a contrast in in 2 years. 88, we went to New Zealand. Worst tour. Not just because the rugby was bad, but they stuck us in the shittiest hotels. We played terrible fixture list. Was dreadful as well. And even their coach said at the time, I would never have accepted that itinerary, that schedule. And then to go then to Australia with Top Cat, Clive Rowlands as team manager, Finlay Calder captain, and Ian McGeechan coach, and Roger Utley assistant coach. Funny story, we were all walking into this beautiful hotel on the banks of the Thames now. Croquet lawn out the front. We all had to do the buzz test, not the buzz, the bleep test, because we all had to do the bleep test several times so they could see how our fitness levels were. Get into there. So anyway, before that, we all arrived. It's boiling hot day. I remember this boiling hot day. We all got like shorts and t-shirts on, carrying our suitcases and our kit bags into this hotel, and walking down the corridor. And I was Roger Utley. You will never believe this. Right? I had played 21 times for Wales now, right? 21 caps for Wales, selected for the British Lions. Walking down the corridor, Roger, hiya boys. He goes, Bobby knows. Hiya Bob, Di, how you doing, Di? Yeah. Robert. And he came at me and went, what's your name again? Why does it always happen to me? Jesus. Honestly, I thought, count on your fucking your voting selection. Jesus Christ. Ugly bastard.
How did you find the dynamic with obviously coming together four different nations?
Yes, every Lions team has to do it. At the end of the day, it's a collective, isn't it? What you're there to do now is big bucks. These boys are on a share of the profits of the tour. It was nothing about money. It was just the thing of saying that you come from Australia, New Zealand, wherever you're touring, saying you would be a series winner for Lions. And, not just to get on the tour, you want to be coming off that tour as a series winning Lion. So, yeah, it was fantastic experience to go to Australia and do that. Yeah, the greatest it's even greater than obviously playing for Wales. That's big enough, isn't it? But to go over there and so I went over there and I missed the first game selection. I just played Western Australia out in Perth. Chris O'Ty, remember Chris O'Ty, a black winger for England? He scored about 4 or 5 tries that day, I think. And we lost our house at half. Paul Dean from Ireland, first casualty of the tour, which is one of them, isn't it? You don't want to be injured ever, but we lost him and they sent for Rob Andrews, so he came out as a replacement, and we moved from Perth then to Melbourne. We play Aussie A, my first game. I have a pretty good game. Some nice runs, set up a try for John Jeffrey, who's a great guy.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, you ask about it's just the Scottish boys, right? They were, at the time, I don't know how it is and has been since then, but I just got on so well with the Scottish boys. So we had this meeting now, first meeting, all of us in the room, all the squad, and Finlay gets up, he said, right boys, in his lovely voice, Scottish accent, and he says, this is going to be the best Lions tour ever. We're gonna be successful on the field, and we're going to have a great time off the field. And we'll have a social committee now. We have John Jeffrey, Derek White, all these other people organising events for us to keep us, occupied. It's going to be a long tour, So we did lots of stuff, and then John Jeffrey had a great idea of getting all these white T-shirts signed on the back, and then print a wallaby and a lion having a beer on the front. British Lions tour, all the fixtures and signatures on the back. Sell these now everywhere we go. We sell these now to people for $10. So they cost us peanuts. These big, these white T-shirts, and selling these now all the dirt trackers, all the boys not involved in the games, just selling all these T-shirts. And we made fucking like $1,000 for our beer kitty, So because we had no beer kit, we were amateurs. We had to pay for our own beers, and but then we had other stuff. We just did loads of golfing trips every afternoon. You could play golf because we only trained in the mornings, but the training was fabulous. Ian McGeechan's training was just I'm like that. I just, as a young boy, thinking,
It seemed like
how
it.
interesting is this?
Yeah.
Every session was different. Every session was like different skills, training, learning this, learning that, what he's doing, trying to achieve by doing this. Brilliant, really good. And we learned a lot. But then going back to the original saying, you know, we just gelled because we all wanted. Okay, we might have kicked shit out of each other.
Leading in.
Previously in the Five Nations previously, might have had a big bust up and quite a few times with English boys, you know. Don't know why, but it obviously
No, I don't know why.
I don't know why. But great, you know, and then to all gel together. And then I started playing well, like Aussie A, then I played against Queensland, played well there. Then I played against New South Wales, first test match the week after. And then I twist my bloody ankle playing against New South Wales last 10 minutes. Played on a cricket pitch and I soft outfield, rock hard concrete wicket.
Right.
And I just ran off
Soft
the
to
soft
hard,
ground onto the yard and turned over my ankle. We beat New South Wales and Queensland and Aussie A. So I was doing quite well, you know. I was thinking to myself, I got a good chance of playing in the test match the week after, and then I turned over my ankle. So that was me gone for the first test. Me and Mike Teague. He was injured as well. We sat watching the first test match and saw us, you know, play crap. It was not the way we were playing, you know. We were better than that. But a couple of players in that game just, you know, got caught in the headlights, you know. And then we had a new strategy then. A couple of players got dropped. Mike Hall got dropped. Craig Chalmers got dropped. They dropped the centres, Brendan Mullen, Bobby Noster got dropped.
All right.
And in come Ackford, in comes Scott Hastings, in comes Jerry Guscott, in comes Rob Andrew for Craig Chalmers. So, yeah, bit of a change. And then they come up with this theory, and then we got to upset Nick Farr-Jones. We got to get him off his game. And now that's where the stamping on his foot and and they said, just so I know, and we'll all jump in. And, you know, and then that's what Rob did. He just smacked him in. You remember, he just covers up there.
They go, Rob, it's all over.
Yeah, it's all over there, Rob. And it worked, you know. It put Nick Farr-Jones off his game. And then we won the second test match. Fantastic. It's 1-1. Not happened before, I don't think, coming back to win a test series from losing the one. But the third test then, I managed to get on the bench. Fit enough to get on the bench. And in those days, you don't come on unless the player was injured. You know, I remember Jerry Guscott went down injured about 10 minutes before the end. Oh, come on, Jerry, come on, Jerry. I should have give you a brown envelope or something to come off. But no, he carried on, and obviously they won the test. Ian scored that great try in the corner, wasn't it? Campbell threw the ball to nobody.
Oh, that's mad, isn't it?
Mad, but and then we had the biggest party, you know, ever after. And then Andy Gregory and Steve Hampson were in the changing room after the game because they were over there playing rugby league for Illawarra Steelers, I think, and they ended up in our changing room. I was like, rugby league and rugby union, mixing like that. That was
nice. That was
special. Yeah.
From a supporter's point of view, you always have players you love to hate, usually English. Today it tends to be sort of like Owen Farrell. I know Will Carlin was one, because supporters don't really know them. And then I remember Richard Webster, we can't get more down to earth, singing his praises. He loved Will Carlin.
Yeah, they become best mates purely from being on tour together in New Zealand, in 93, wasn't it?
Did anybody surprise you? Anybody you thought you might not get
Brian
along
Moore.
with?
Brian Moore, I got on really well with Brian Moore. I'm to be honest, it was, you know, used to give marks out of 10 for all my roomies, you know.
Ask Rob Jones when I was his roomie.
Yeah, but in the Lions, you never had two Welshmen ever.
No.
You know, so it was they mixed you, and you never had two backs generally sharing, and never two from the same country. So it was always mixed. So I had people like John Jeffrey, brilliant guy, 10 out of 10. Finley, 10 out of 10. I mean, I had the Horlicks brothers and Ackford and Rooney, you know, a bit, you know, bit quiet. And
so what were they out of 10?
Oh, Give him 7 or something.
Was anybody lower than 5?
Well, talking about, we were mentioning Webster. I shared with him in flipping. When did I share with him? Oh my God! I thought someone had died in his trainers. The room was stinking because of his trainers. They were like, I had to chuck them outside. They were like, oh my God! It was a pigsty. They couldn't see the carpet for all his clothes. Honestly, but yeah, he was only a kid then.
3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Have you had a nightmare one, or are you the nightmare, Ruby?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you start thinking, no, never had any problems, then yeah. Me and Rob stayed together in New Zealand, and he still to this day says that was a pretty tough experience for him.
His favourite roomie is Adolf. They're always together.
Yeah, in league then it was me and Adrian Hadley. It was good.
Me and Muzzy. I think it was me and Muzzy maybe.
Yeah.
Me and Muzz were best buddies.
Yeah, I remember when we were playing in France, right?
Yeah.
With the Welsh Rugby League, and I was rooming with Adrian Hadley, and it was Alan Bateman's birthday, right? So we played the game.
March 17th.
I think Yestin had scored something like. Yes, I scored like 4 tries or something. He was just like, he owned the game. Like, it was Alan's birthday, so we got back, and at the after-do function, it was two tables, one with sandwiches that big on it, like about a plate of tiny little squares, and on the other one was all bottles of shorts and stuff. So we were Pernod, and we were an hour away in Toulouse, Pernod, and I can't drink that stuff, so I'm taking the lid off and just going, like, as if you're drinking it, but I'm not even, my lips like that. Adolf was like, right, well, he's my roomie, right? So we get back to the hotel, and up to the room now. Well, Adolf he was fucked, right? So he couldn't come out. So we went out with Alan then to a bar, whatever, just to have a few drinks for birthday. So get back to the hotel, up on the floor, as the doors opening like that.
Oh no.
Like, oh, Jesus Christ, there's a stench, a real stench, right? Yeah. And we were right at the corner in the end, right? Walking right around. As we get close to my door, I was like, oh my God, this is unbearable. It's unbearable, like stinking shit. Open the door, and it's like all flight. It's like, get it out. Don't go in there. Like, you get outside. I get in there, right? I'm like, yes, oh my, something bad has happened, right? And I'm like, looking around, thinking, like this, right? I just couldn't find anything. I thought, what the hell's happened? Go in the toilet, look in the bath, sink, whatever, kit bags like that. And next thing, I looked there, and Adolf had gone in and just flopped on his bed, so he'd blazer trousers like that. And I'm like that. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, that sort of slightly different colour on the back of his trousers isn't bad. I'm like, it's not bad the design, is it? I was like, Adolf, he's in bed like that. He's not moving. Like I said, Adolf, and eventually there's a twitch. Right? I said, Adolf, he's like, Adolf. He said, Adolf, you've shit yourself. And he's like, fuck off. And then eventually, right, he's gone, when he's gone like that, he's allowed that one receptor to go all the way down his body to his ass and back to his head, and he's gone, fuck. Yeah, but other than that, he was a great roomie. No, me and him got on really well. Yeah, it was good.
My fathers and never forget about sideburns and side steps and all that before. Now this is your time, boys, it's your turn to score. Sing